I rather enjoyed that. Now, it's Wednesday, which means it's time for our weekly big debate. Today, we're asking, is the act of marriage outdated and overrated? This is after a High Court family judge has recently said that there is no evidence that marriage is any more stable than cohabitation. Here to battle it out, please welcome the Revd Sally Hitchiner, outspoken broadcaster Nick Ferrari and feisty journalist Sonia Poulton. Welcome all. Nice to see you, Sally. Welcome. Now, the woman of the cloth, you would say that, wouldn't you? She said, is there proof that it's more stable than cohabitation, marriage?
How can you have proof for two people's relationship? I think whatever might be we might see in stats, actually what matters is the individuals, and what matters is lifelong committed relationships. That there's a huge amount of evidence that it's better for healthcare, it's better for financial stability. You know, if you lose your job, you have someone else to support you there. If you are unwell, then you have someone else to look after you. And what matters, I think, is making a permanent arrangement for that.
Which your children will know about. It must help them feel secure, presumably, if your children know you are committed to one another in marriage more than two people who are not.
Absolutely. And I think when we're looking at things like tax cuts and things like that, which affect what the government want to promote, which is permanent commitment between two people. If you're not married yourself, you've given the ability to judge whether your relationship is permanent over to the state, and they're left having to do that on the basis of whether you've been together for 2 years or... And who says that a marriage or a relationship that's been together for 2 years is any more committed than one that's been for a year and a half? So by getting married, we're taking back the ownership of that ourselves and saying we are committed to a lifelong relationship.
Sonia?
Well, I believe very much in live and let live, that as long as somebody loves somebody else, then they should be together no matter what. But it's interesting that 34% of marriages at least now end in divorce, which is a very sad indictment of our society. And I believe a lot of the time the thing about marriage is that we've changed. Obviously, our societies have changed, and we used to do a lot for monetary reasons and for economic reasons, and we don't need to do that anymore. But I have found that there is a great deal of hypocrisy in marriage, and that is, I know people who talk about the sanctity of marriage, and yet they're having affairs, which, to me, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So I believe that you should be with somebody that you want to, and that you shouldn't be bound just by a piece of paper.
Nick?
What a load of tosh. Right. Here is the reality. It is a fact that children in married couples do better at school than have parents who are not married.
Sonia's shaking her head.
That is a fact that I understand. Now, while I would never dream of being prescriptive, and I have friends who have wonderful relationships and they've never married and they're very happy together, living together. I have others who, unfortunately, the marriage has lasted, probably didn't get before they had to renew the mattress. It just hasn't worked out. But I will tell you this. There is no doubt that many of the problems that we experience in this country, teenage violence, all sorts of crime, is because in many instances, not all, in many instances the family unit has been trashed down, there's no respect for it, there's no care, and it's almost as easy to get a divorce in some instances as throwing away a used tissue. We do not put enough importance on the institution of marriage, which is what gave me the backing I had to achieve what I have in my life.
No, Nick said something there which is very interesting, and that is it's about family. It's about family, it's not about marriage. In olden times, it was about extended families, where all, you know, extended families all live together. I believe it takes a village to raise a child, not just two people.
Let me let Sally come back on that.
That is the point.
It's a valid point.
It's about love. And actually,
love.
as a society, we should be promoting love that sticks it through the years. And actually, it is difficult to get divorced, and it should be difficult to get divorced. There's a lot of paperwork you have to go through. Because we should be promoting people, the idea that people work through problems.
Yes.
And
Do you think people give in too easily?
Well, I think I'm the only one on the panel who is divorced. I think. And if right,
yes.
So I know exactly what it's like. The paperwork is appalling. The fighting is heartbreaking. I am desperately upset to this day that I wasn't able to keep my marriage together on behalf of my two sons. To this day, I grieve over that. But the way that one can just walk out, the way you can start the process of divorce, the ease with which the lawyers come racing to the door to pick it up, that is simply wrong. I think it should be mandated that there is a cooling-off period. Once he or she storms out, nobody does anything for 6 months, and you try and put the family unit back together. It would save so much money.
If you compare that to couples who just cohabit, and there's no legal framework for holding them in the same place, even if they have children together.
Well, let me bring Sonia in on this,
framework.
because then, when cohabiting, then, it's instantly breakable, gone.
Yes.
You wouldn't even have the 6 months cooling down period.
The problem for children is not actually broken marriages. The problem for children is the way that people treat each other. That's the big problem for children. A lot of the data that we have is actually so warped and so distorted. It's quite untrue, Nick. It is quite untrue. What children need is security, to know they're in an environment where they are loved and wanted, and the people around them.
Mum and Dad are married.
Yeah,
they're in the school playground.
No,
they
that's
do.
old-fashioned.
I'm sorry, you
no,
live this
that is
elitist.
not true.
It's not.
That is not true.
When
was the last time you were in the school playground? Because I'm telling you that now that the majority of children in the school playground have an absolute knowledge of blended
and you
families.
Celebrate that.
What
is wrong with being
celebrate.
married?
I'm not saying there's anything wrong.
If you
I
love
started
someone,
off by saying I believe in live and let live. So if you
agree.
do love someone, but I believe that marriage has turned into an obligation rather than two people being together because they want to.
Let me answer that very, very briefly. Marriage is now an obligation.
I don't think so at all. No two couples getting married will be saying they're getting married because of an obligation. People get married because of love, and we need to celebrate that, and we need to make that happen more.
My thanks to Sally, Nick and Sonia. Thank you very much indeed. Still
We're getting engaged.
dancing out.
You're going to marry us.
Never seen before. There's a loving going on here. Especially since it's performed by a gentleman, bit of pole dancing. Plus, she swapped life as a footballer's wife for that of a school dinner lady. Zoe Lucker talks tabards, teaching and terrorising men. It's all here. Back in a bit.